It is time for your fresh start. Do you have a hobby you wish you could indulge in all day long, maybe like drinking wine? An obsession that keeps you up at night, like drinking wine? Well, our next guest says now is the perfect time to take that passion and make a living doing what you love.
Gary Vaynerchuk is the author of the new book, Crush It, and host of Wine Library TV. Hey, Gary.
Gary, nice to see you.
An
author now.
An author now. And as of this morning, a New York Times best-selling author. Wow. 2 on the list, so feeling good.
Good for you.
Thank you.
So what's interesting, I had a chance to read the book. You were kind enough to send me a copy months ago as you were going through the authoring process.
I changed it since then. It's much better.
It's much better.
So you need to pick up a copy.
A lot of the tools. One of the things you talk about in it, and living your passion, people need to understand social media. And this is a question that people often ask me, why do I need Twitter? Why do I need Facebook? Companies are launching themselves now using these things, right?
You know, whether the people out there are watching think Twitter or Facebook or Ustream or Tumblr are stupid or not is kind of irrelevant. You know, you can't draw lines in the sand in business. This movement is coming, things are happening, and people are building brands online. I mean, there's people building million-dollar businesses with zero startup cost, and that's what I'm talking about. The fact that if you love politics or rock climbing or cooking, and you can now start a business, promote it, and build the brand, all for zero cost, just sweat equity, is the biggest change in our society ever.
But let's talk about that. Sorry, Dave, how you turn your passion into a business.
You work your butt off. See, what I know is that we've gotten really soft. It takes a lot of hours. I mean, you've got to go in the trenches, but the fact of the matter is that you can use a WordPress or Tumblr account to start your blog, to talk to the world. Not everybody can do video. Maybe it's writing or audio. You find the way you communicate. You find your subject matter. Maybe it's the Denver Broncos. Maybe it's the Phillies. It could be anything.
Right.
You start talking about that. But what's most important is you go into things like Facebook and Twitter, and you start talking to people, not spamming them and selling them, talking, and you build real connections.
You talk about what you should say, but you also point out how you break down your book is you should also listen. Why is listening so important?
Well, see, what's funny is how I got to 850,000 followers on Twitter was not because I was talking, it was because I was listening. You can go in and search terms. So again, if you're writing a Phillies blog, you can go and search Raul Ibanez. Somebody might say, well, Ibanez stunk last night. And you might be like, hey, wait a minute. You can say @SallyPants49 on Twitter. Hey, wait a minute. You know, that second pitch was a huge curveball. And then all of a sudden, the conversation. So here's what I want everybody at home to understand. Twitter and Facebook and social media, and listen, it was called Web 2.0 last year. Next year it's going to be called media.
Right.
It's all about one thing. It's about working the room. It's a cocktail party. Media has always worked one way, giving a presentation. That world has changed. It's now working the room.
And working your butt off in sweat equity. And what you did, because you took your father's wine store,
Yep.
you fell in love with it, you saw potential there, and you started communicating and talking about wine, something you were so passionate about. We thought, okay, how can we have Gary talk about wine?
Yes.
Post-Halloween, you've come up with a great way to do it, pairing all that extra candy, chocolate with wine. You do all these unique shows. It's not just the best tasting wines.
That's right, and the best show I ever had was when you were a guest, so people need to dig that up. Now, yes, absolutely, chocolate's a no-brainer. You know, big Cabernets, Zinfandels with like a Reese's Pieces, no-brainer. Starburst and sugar candies, things that are, you know, kind of Skittles, things like that, you definitely want to go with more of a Riesling. You want a sugar on sugar, sugar squared kind of combo.
Good to know.
And then with like, you know, the half and half, you want to go maybe with like a Grenache, because Grenache has more of a strawberry kind of characteristic, so something that has a coating but chocolate still in it. The Rhone Valley, oh, you like? You're like, yes. You're like, yes. Like the Rhone Valley or parts of Spain can really do a great job. Grenache-based wines with things like M&Ms.
Oh. So Cabernet with peanut butter, I had no idea.
With chocolate, but peanut butter is still a great, and that's why maybe even a Zinfandel in that scenario would go well.
You know, we have Dr. Isidore Rosenfeld coming up a little bit later, and he has a whole chapter in his book about how he discovered his love of wine. And he talks about how he had a natural inclination towards it, but he spent time learning about it. And I think people, when they first start drinking wine, they get scared about the learning process.
Everybody's scared of wine.
Which you don't have to be.
No, I mean, nobody tells you that what kind of pizza you should eat, right? There's no pizza spectator or a burger, you know, and so I think people need to understand the way to really become a wine expert is to try as many different wines as possible and trust your own palate. Just because your buddy in your circle of friends read Robert Parker a couple more times than you did does not make him a wine expert. So tell him to shut up, try something new, and always mix it up.
All right, well, WineLibraryTV.com can teach you how to drink wine, but the book Crush It can teach you how to succeed in life and running a company.
CrushItBook.com.
crushitbook.com.
And
all there.
it's a great read. I can attest to it. Live your passion. Go out there and do what you have to do.
It's easy on the palate.
It is
Thank
easy
you.
on the
Thank
palate.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Gary, nice
Take
to see
care.
you.
Go Jets.
Go Eagles. Coming up here on the show, I know most Americans